Thank you, Kaiser. Good morning and welcome to First Parish Brewster. We are a Unitarian, Universalist, welcoming congregation of people of diverse philosophies and beliefs, peoples of various cultures and races, sexual orientations, gender identities, and abilities. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your path, may this be a place of rest and restoration on your journey. I am Twinks Hastings, the Director of Lifespan Religious Education, happy to be welcoming you to the service today with our Music Director, Kaiser Fern, and Board Member, Liz Cable. Our services are recorded and available on our YouTube channel midweek. Masks are now optional in worship, although we do have specific spots that will remain mask required. Please silence your cell phones. We ask that all wear their name tags or fill out a sticker name tag in an effort to be more welcoming. We also welcome and celebrate the noises, movements, and mirth that little ones bring to our service. Are there any visitors here who would like to introduce themselves today? It's okay if you don't. Welcome, visitors. If you'd like to learn more about First Parish Brewster, please fill out a welcome card found in the back of the pew in front of you and place it in the offering basket. Welcome on this morning, which we make sacred by our presence together. And a big welcome to people streaming. We always wave at them. We're glad you're here too. In community news announcements, do you know what is happening in May? Auction. Yeah, the auction and the Spring Festival. It's First Parish's biggest fundraiser of the year. We traditionally have an in-house auction for our church community, but due to the success of last year's event, we're also including an in-person event offering a plant sale, bake sale, and gift shop to the public. How can you get involved to support FPBUU? This auction is provided by the time, talents, and treasures of everyone within our community. Think of items or services that you can donate to the auction, or if you're looking to thin out your garden, offer up some plants to the plant sale. You're also encouraged to bake up some treats for the bake sale and volunteer on the day. If you have any questions or ideas you would like to chat about, there will be a Spring Festival table set up at coffee hour in the parish room. Members of the fundraising committee, do you want to put your hands up? Excellente. Will be available to help with your ideas. Please keep an eye on the angle for all updates about the fundraiser. Join us at 2 p.m. today for an important conversation on trans rights. We will be joined by a panel, including our own Ricky and our past care minister, Reverend Bran. And now, a word from our stewardship team.
I am Debbie Klein, and I'm here with Tavia Asala, and we are representing the Stewardship Committee. We come to you today to say thank you. Thank you to our visiting stewards that went through weekend training and making time in their busy schedules to support the 2023-2024 Pledge Drive. Thank you to you, our wonderful church community, in opening your doors and hearts to listening to our Pledge Drive message and selflessly pledging to support this wonderful church and its many programs. We are in awe as to the positive response in this year's campaign.
Thanks. I'm Tavia Asala, and I just want to let you know to date, and you can see it up here, we've raised $413,888. It's the best we've done in years. What we asked is if you make a pledge, could you raise it by 5, 10, 15% over last year? So we weren't asking for a specific amount of money, but rather a percentage of over what you did last year. Almost all the pledges are in. We have 168 units in. So that means there are 168 units, unit being either one person or two persons, that are fully pledged and fully members. We just want to let you know, to be an active, full member of the church, you must be pledged annually. Otherwise, you're a friend or an associate or whatever, but you're not a fully pledged member. We encourage you, if you haven't pledged, to reach out to me or to Debbie. We can help you do that today, or we can mail you something so that you can pledge. Basically, I also not only want to thank the stewards who were brave enough to knock on doors and meet with people, but to thank the committee. Debbie Klein's been a lot of fun to work with, and without Susan Flaws and Karina Stroh, I don't know where we would be. They do a wonderful job every year. And the other person who was very active in helping us formulate everything was Susan Smith. So thank you to everybody, and this is the best we've done in years. Thank you.
Did you thank yourself, Tavia? Because you do a lot of work. And with that, welcome to worship. It is so good to be together.
Good morning. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in on hymn 361 in your gray hymnal. 361, enter, rejoice, and come in. That's the one. Enter, rejoice, and come in. 361 in the gray hymnal. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Here we have come into the sacred space, quieter now with our readiness. Hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things. For connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words and for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space, bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed. We light our chalice this morning for the promise that change holds and the anxiousness that change brings, and the hope that we can all find a restful moment as we worship here together. We're going to change things up a little, and I'm going to invite our children and youth down before this next song. I have a feeling they may know it. So come on down, friends.
you, but I won't. Some look for trouble, while others don't. There's 1,000 reasons I should go about my day and ignore your whispers, which I wish would go away. Whoa. You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I heard you, which I don't, I'm spoken for, I fear. Everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls.
I've had my adventure and I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you
Into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown.
What do you want? 'Cause you've been keeping me awake. Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake? Or are you someone out there who's a little bit like me, who knows deep down I'm not where I'm meant to be? Every day's a little harder as I feel my power grow.
Don't you know there's part of me that longs to go into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown. Oh, are you out there? Do you know me? Can you feel me? Can you show me? Where are you going? Don't leave me alone. How can I follow you into the unknown?
Thank you. And into the unknown we go. We're going to do our affirmation sitting down today. And you can find the words in your order of service. We believe in love.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
Quest for truth is the sacrament.
We believe in helping others. We believe in the sacredness of life. So, today, friends, I wanted to tell you a story about a creature who has lived here at First Parish Brewster for a long, long time. Since before even I was born, I think, or maybe before the building was here. And this creature is a creature of habit. Has anyone ever seen them around here? Didn't think so. Anyway, this creature gets up very early and straightens out the banners for us, and they ring the first bell of the day, and then they go downstairs and play in the nursery. First they finger paint, then they slide on the slide, then they jump on the trampoline, then they find a snack in the office fridge, then they curl up for a long nap until nighttime when they ring the last bell of the day. And then they straighten out the pew cushions, and then they feel a little mischievous, so they go and mess up all the music stands and the music closet back there. And then they brush their teeth and go to bed for a few hours before it's time to get up and do it over and over again every day of the year. We never see this creature of habit because, I can't believe it. It's the creature of habit. Creature of habit, you seem a little bit upset. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm mad.
Oh no, why?
Everybody messed up my routine.
Oh no, what happened?
The trampoline that I like to play on in the nursery is gone, and somebody cleaned out the fridge, and all my moldy snacks that I like to eat are gone.
Oh, creature of habit, I'm so sorry. I was the one that removed the trampoline because the bar needed fixed to keep all of our kids safe.
I don't care.
And the moldy food is a health hazard for all of us.
I don't care.
Oh, creature of habit, I'm so sorry you feel so angry. But we had to change these things so everybody could be safe and happy, all of us.
I don't care. It messed up my routine.
I hear that. Can we talk about this?
No, I like my routine.
I hear you. But I think that we can work this out. It seems like you're mad, but I wonder, do you miss jumping?
Yes, it's like my favorite part of the day.
And do you miss the taste of really good, sludgy, moldy food?
Yes, it's so good.
Okay. So those feelings are so valid, and it's okay for you to feel mad and sad about all those things. But I also think we can find an answer.
But it won't be the same. I miss my routine. It was the same every day.
I hear that. I'm sorry. And you're right. It won't be the same. And we really are trying collectively not to leave food to go moldy in the fridge.
I don't care.
And the trampoline, I know, and the trampoline needs fixed. But how about if I bring you a bowl of moldy food every day and leave it in the garden for you?
It won't be the same.
It won't, but it'll be delicious.
Nah.
And you, because you're not kids, can jump on the trampoline whilst it's in the shop to be fixed. So it's there, just in a different place.
But it won't be the same.
I hear you, and it won't. But you can visit me anytime. I love hanging out with you. And I'll help you to hold those big feelings, because the feelings are real. But do you promise not to cause mayhem if we work together?
Fine.
You just don't want us to change anything else around here, right?
Yeah, just don't change anything else.
Well, that's impossible. Things are always changing. Sometimes it makes me mad too. But I do promise to listen and hear your sadness and find some alternative solutions so you can get into a routine, even if it's a slightly different one. And won't fresh moldy food be much better?
Maybe.
Are you going to be okay?
I'll try.
Thank you, creature of habit. Let's sing our children out to the garden today. Nice job. I always have a little sadness when they leave without me. But will you join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation? Spirit of life, ever adapting and renewing, we come together this morning with yearnings that do not match. We yearn for stability, for even one moment of feeling like we know what is going on, for the ability to predict and prepare for what is coming next. Yet, we also yearn for change. We ache for a world that turns aside from racism, violence, dehumanization, and disregard for suffering. We pray for a change in the illness, grief, isolation, incarceration, and vulnerability of our loved ones. We reach for connections that will remind us that we are worthy as we are. We reach for connections that will help us to become our best selves. Hold us in the heart of both and. Cradle us in the mystery. Cherish us in the eternal presence of love, and encourage us on the path of growth and development, as individuals and as a community. Help us to become who we are called to be. Lead us to open pathways to deeper wisdom through reconciliation, self-respect, mutual respect, compassion, owning and making amends for our mistakes. Source of wonder, move us to express and live in gratitude for the beauty of this world, the loving people in our lives, and this day of possibility. To this we add the meditation of our hearts as we enter into a time of silence.
Hi. What a difference a year can make, huh? This time of year feels filled with renewal and the promise of hope, warm weather, new growth. Feels especially so for me this year. Some of you may have noticed I'm sporting a new name on the order of service. It's not quite legal yet, but it will be soon. There's been huge changes for me in my life since last spring. For those who don't know me well, you may not know that about this time last year, my whole life exploded. Most of my worst fears were realized. Prior to that, I had what looked from the outside to be a pretty picture-perfect life. I had a stable, long-term marriage to a doctor, honey. 3 kids who I was and still am fiercely proud of. A nice house on Cape Cod, a growing career in a field that I love. I work in perinatal health. What more could a girl ask for, right? But just about a year ago, things in my marriage came to a very scary point where I was confronted with the fact that things were not only very toxic, but in fact deeply abusive. And that I needed to leave if I was going to have any chance at being a whole person, which I hadn't been in a very long time. In many ways, a mirror was held up to me, and I was forced to see that the deconstruction of my personhood had been so complete and for such a long time that I didn't even have the strength to rise up against it. I remember in 2020 when Glennon Doyle's book Untamed, who's read that book? If you haven't, you should. It's a good one. I remember when that book came out, reading it eagerly, until I hit the following quote. "There is a life meant for you that is truer than the one you're living. But in order to have it, you will have to forge it yourself. You will have to create on the outside what you are imagining on the inside. Only you can bring it forth, and it will cost you everything." And at the time, those words hit me with such a force that I actually closed the book and sat in stunned silence for several minutes before putting the book back on my shelf and studiously ignoring it until I was ready to read those words again. At that time, I did not have the language or the heart space to accept those words, but they called to me. They planted a seed that I held close and guarded carefully until the time was right. And last June, when I was having my dark night of the soul and trying desperately to choose whether to leave my marriage or to try and do what I had been raised to do and fix things to keep my family together, I read that book again. And those words once again lit up my soul. There is a life meant for you that is truer than the one you are living. But in order to have it, you will have to forge it yourself. You will have to create on the outside what you are imagining on the inside. Only you can bring it forth, and it will cost you everything. And I knew I had to leave because the life I was living wasn't true. The image I was putting out to the world didn't match the reality I was living, the one where I wasn't sleeping and was living in constant fear and migraines from the stress and the not sleeping, where I was worried for my kids and my safety and the safety of my partner. But I wasn't sure what a truer life meant. I wasn't sure what was possible. I had no blueprint. I couldn't even imagine what life could look like on my own. The very idea was terrifying. But as I let those words sink in, I knew that I couldn't stay where I was. Fast forward to a year later, and the blueprint has been made and followed. I have my freedom. I am surrounded by an amazing, loving community of people who have held me and supported me and made it possible for me to keep my home. I feel strong and joyful And although I will be healing for the rest of my life from the experiences I've had, I am healing. I feel, for the first time in a long time, hope and excitement for the future. And if you only look at the before and after, if you only see where I am now, you'll miss a lot. Because yes, there's been a lot of change, and yes, it's been for the better, and yes, I am so glad. But here's the thing, the process was a lot. And we all know change is uncomfortable, and we give a lot of lip service to it, and yet we all fear it. And I know why. This past year of my life has been an absolutely searing process of loss, uncertainty, fear, and pain. It's been, hands down, the worst year of my entire life. I have come over and over to my loved ones with my broken heart in my hands, simply asking to be held in my moments of need. I've cried an ocean of tears and moved through more rage than I thought a human body could hold. I have fought harder than anyone should have to fight to come away from this with something I could build a life from. And again, I have been held. I have found in the midst of my suffering that I could make it through so much more than I ever thought I could, thanks to the people around me who held me up and helped me see the strength that I had within. But there was suffering involved, and I don't want to downplay that. Not to say, poor me, but to remind us all that change is often painful. We fear it for a reason, and that reason is that we don't know what the blueprint is for what comes after. We are thrown from our comfort zone, however uncomfortable it may have been, and into the fire that will alchemize us into the next version of ourselves. We have no idea what we will be and how painful the process will be, and it's frightening. But there is magic there too in that alchemy. And if we try to bypass the process, to skip the painful parts by numbing out or not feeling our feelings or blasting those feelings onto others or whatever other mechanism we're using, we also bypass the magic. As I often tell my kids, our feelings are like a tunnel. We have to go through them to get out. If we stop moving, we just get stuck in the tunnel. And it's so, so important to keep moving together. If I had been on my own for the past year, I don't know that I would have made it through. I like to think I'm pretty tough and resilient and scrappy, but the reality is that without the love and support from my family, both blood and chosen, and friends from my community here at FPB, I don't know how or if I would have gotten to where I am today. So as we find ourselves in the midst of big changes in our community, I want to remind us all that as long as we keep moving through the tunnel together, I think we'll be okay. We can keep coming to each other, hearts in our hands, and be held. And we can keep holding each other gently when we are in need. Please remember that you don't know anyone's whole story, so be tender with each other. We are all becoming new versions of ourselves. I'll leave you with another quote from Untamed, which you should all read, one that keeps turning my face to the future. I am here to keep becoming truer, more beautiful versions of myself again and again forever. To be alive is to be in a perpetual state of revolution. Whether I like it or not, pain is the fuel of revolution. Everything I need to become the woman I'm meant to be next is inside my feelings of now. Life is alchemy, and emotions are the fire that turns me to gold. I will continue to become only if I resist extinguishing myself 1,000,000 times a day. If I can sit in the fire of my own feelings, I will keep becoming.
Kaylee and Pam and I invite you to take your insert, that's in your order of service, and rise in body or spirit and join in on Landslide.
Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Ooh, took my love, take it down. Oh, climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? Oh, the landslide bring it down.
Thank you, Pam and Kaylee. It's always so lovely to have you play music. Each week, we have the practice of splitting our offertory plate. Half of what is collected goes to the work of First Parish Brewster, and the other half goes to a worthy organization nominated by members of this congregation. Crohn's Colitis Foundation of America is our organization this week, CCFA. The CCFA's mission is to find cures for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, as well as improve the quality of life of those affected by these diseases. The foundation is also expanding the understanding of irritable bowel disease, IBD, and transforming this knowledge into therapies and life-changing products to address unmet patient needs. There are several ways you can give today. You can text to give, the number is in your order of service, or you can donate on our website, or you can make a check out to FPBUU. However you choose to give today, thank you for your generosity. Your offering will now be gratefully received.
ebbs and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing where you feel, and every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I've looked at life from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Thank you all so much. Dear one, we have received your letter, and we hate to tell you, well, not hate so much, but are a bit afraid to say, we cannot grant your requests as stated, but can only remind you of familiar things. First, faith. Faith in yourself and trust in others. We know it can be terrifying to be vulnerable, but only when you share your softest side will we be able to break through. Next, hope. Hope is not an empty fairy tale. It is the true story of all the times human beings like you have found a way to create the future, though you didn't even know how. And of course, love. Love that demands that you cherish all people, not just yourself and safety. Love that is not satisfied until every argument ends abruptly when one child says, "That hurts." There is so much to learn and relearn. The world teaches you to be hard, to negotiate, to defend, and to avoid giving too much and to the wrong people. There are no wrong people. You also are not wrong, and when you encounter the poor, the broken, the unhoused, and unwelcome, you are looking, if you are paying attention, at us, calling to you, calling to answer your own prayers. If you want to change the world, first be sure that you are changing yourself. Be tender, be kind, be at peace, be all the things you wish for. Be your own best self. It isn't without cost, but it will be free. I have lived abroad since I was 19, in Africa and Australia and 15 other countries in between. And obviously, most recently, well, it's been a long time, the USA. And what's curious about my early unrooted life is that I often still have to fight to embrace change. I am a creature of habit. I wrote that character. It wasn't far off. Disappointment and a changed plan can derail me quicker than when a restaurant advertises traditional Scottish food and then serves corned beef and cabbage. Sometimes I do still long for that fictitious standard of having made it in life, a house in the suburbs with a picket fence, a golden retriever, and 2,400 children. That false illusion of stability. And yet I've chosen a life of constant change and joined a faith and community of pretty radical change makers. One thing that kept me rooted to my home when I was traveling in those early days was comfort in knowing that at 10 o'clock every Sunday morning, my old church in Scotland would be meeting for worship. I would picture the ritual of the Bible being carried into the sanctuary, the elders handing out the order of services and hymn books at the door, and the usual suspects sitting in their usual pews. And I could smell that unique church smell. I found it comforting to know that no matter what was happening in my life or where I was, Howard St. Andrew's Church would be carrying on. Recently, the church was combined with another due to the dwindling number of folks attending, and that was the end of that. And I had some unexpected feelings of sadness about a place I had not visited in 20 years. There was something painful about knowing I would never get married in that building or have my children baptized there, as I had imagined many, many times growing up, even though I wouldn't actually choose to do that now. And it was confusing to sit in the feelings of that loss. There are so many platitudes about change. I can't change the wind, but I can turn my sail into it. The only true things about life are that things will change and taxes. And taxes. Leave it at that. There's nothing permanent except change. And then there's the caterpillar turning into a butterfly metaphor, or the ugly duck situation that we trot out whenever we are advocating for change. And whilst these serve to remind us that change is never ending, and beauty and growth do come from change, what they fail to address is the loss that change brings. Maybe it should be more like, I can't change the wind, and in the process of changing my sail into it, I got concussed by the boom because I didn't duck on time. So I had to be rescued by the Coast Guard, spend 3 days in Cape Cod Hospital, and then get back on my boat, and the sail was in the wind, and I sailed on to freedom. I am an embracer of change when the change is something I want. When the loss is net positive for me, great. I've been working relentlessly for about 5 years now to have the pew over here changed to increase accessibility for the multi-gen community, to have the kids come from the back corner into this space where they can be present to worship. We've had funding and meetings and board approval again, and yet they remain unchanged. And I'm starting to think it's not just life getting in the way of the project, but sadness, grief, or loss that I don't fully understand. And despite my best efforts of listening and addressing concerns, there is still some unprocessed, perceived loss. And I say this with love, I really do, because do you know what change I don't embrace fully? Change that I don't want, or disagree with, or think is unnecessary. Because the only lens in those situations that I'm looking through is my own. A bit like the creature of habit that is furious about the broken trampoline not being in the nursery anymore. Because our creature of habit does not see the littles or know them or the health and safety practices that we have to follow and our insurance, I don't know what you want to call them, rules, our insurance company and their rules. So the creature has no way to see why it's important to remove that broken toy. As Jonathan Haidt says, no matter how good our logic, it's not going to change the minds of our opponents if they are in combat mode too. If you really want to change someone's mind on a moral or political matter, you'll need to see the things from that person's angle as well as your own. And if you do truly see it the other person's way, deeply and intuitively, you might even find your own mind opening in response. Empathy is an antidote to righteousness, although it's very difficult to empathize across a moral divide. Now, I'm not saying there's combat or moral divide about moving the pews, but what I am grounded in is the change that loss brings. You cannot have change without loss of some kind. And if you're unable to see the loss that change will bring to you or someone else, change is going to always be a formidable opponent and a breeding ground for big feelings. Let's take the butterfly caterpillar metaphor, for example, so often held up as the poster child of change. But sometimes I wonder if the butterfly grieves its former life, because honestly, laying around on juicy leaves, feasting, enjoying the sun doesn't sound so bad to me. And not everything about the life as a butterfly is brilliant. For some, the annual migration must be terrifying and exhausting. For a seed to achieve its greatest expression, says Heather Warman, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. So if we need change to grow, but there cannot be change without loss, maybe, just maybe, our resistance to change is actually a resistance to feeling the pain of loss. It's through this lens that I realized that my sadness around my old church being closed down was not really about the church or the building, but about the sadness of a life I thought I would lead, and did not. Even though I am and purpose to live my best life always, there is a loss for me in knowing that that life is not my destiny. And that church was a familiar and comfortable background every single week for my first 16 years on this planet. And so, to the elephant in the room, the change we are going to be experiencing very shortly, as Reverend Jessica moves on, and we welcome the next iteration of First Parish Brewster. I know there is a wide gambit of feelings around this change. Sadness, anger, grief, happiness, fear of what's to come, fear of the unknowing. And those who have been part of an interim ministry or a search committee in the past are, I guess, feeling exhausted about the thought of it. And also, there is a definite feeling of loss about not getting to experience the joy that Eleanor would surely have brought to our community. All of these feelings are very real and very present, and I'm not here to decide which feelings any of us should have about this change. But I am going to tell you that if I were to take off again around the world tonight, here's what I would be thinking at 10 a.m. local Brewster time, regardless of who the minister is. Our chalice will always be lit. The kids will always be making some noise and movement and filling this sanctuary with the energy only they can. The youth group will be in their space in the evening, grouching about standardized testing and amazing whoever their advisors are with their sharp wit and knowing, well beyond anything I was capable of at 15. They will also still be ravenous by snack time. Joan will be on this balcony. And here's what it gets interesting, because my next sentence was Chuck and Wilderness, Alanita and Judy will be on that balcony. But guess what happened? We changed where people can sit if they want to mask or unmask. So there you go. But I'll still think of those four up there. Our wise elders will be in the back corner. We'll be singing happy 100th, 120th birthday to Nancy. I don't know. Chuck Ross will be over by his window, appreciating the sacred inside and out. The office will be a bustling hive of activity, great ideas being thrown around, staff supporting each other as they support this congregation. Liz Gordon will be trying to sign you up for something, or feeding you cookies you don't necessarily want, but eat anyway. And there will still be disagreement about most everything, of course. But what would give me the most comfort, if I was not here, is knowing that the people I've left behind here will be cared for and held by this community. Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you're a member here, you have 300-odd people who have your back. In the 6 ministers I've known who have come and gone, things have changed so much, and each one brought their own take to First Parish. All of them have changed something that has annoyed me, and probably you, and others have changed things that I've been so grateful for. But you know what didn't change? The heart of this community, the root of justice that runs through our veins, and most importantly, the care that we give each other. That's the heart center of this church, and everything else will continue to swirl on around it. But that heart center, that will not change. And so, friends, as we sit in our loss, whatever that may be for you around this transition, please know your big feelings are valid and welcome and wanted, but what you do with them is so important. Find the moldy food for each other. Hold each other's hands, and find peace in knowing that no matter who ministers at First Parish Brewster, the heart center, the values we hold strong, and the way we have each other's backs, that's what's important. And the only way that will change is if we choose chaos over caring during this transition. The future, says John Starr, is not a result of choices among alternative paths offered by a present, but a place that is created first in the mind and will, created next in activity. The future is not some place we are going to, but one we are creating. The path is not to be found, but made. And the activity of making them changes both the maker and the destination. Carving our own path is something First Parish is notorious for, and also something that we know how to do. We know how to talk to each other. We know how to listen. We know where to find pastoral care if we need it. And we know how to hold hard things. We know how to hold hard things. We know how to do ritual, and if you need some help remembering these things, please reach out, and we can remind you that this is a place of comfort in the ever-changing tide. And so, my friends, we have a choice in our future. We have a choice in this change. So let's feel deeply the loss of Rev Jessica, and I will, and I feel anxious about working for a new minister. But what's true is that we will carve the path we take, using everything we have learned from her ministry. So let's continue to craft a future of joy, of love, of hope, of growth, of change, and of home at First Parish Brewster, as it's been for 323 years, and it will be for 323 more. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Please take your teal hymnal and turn to 1064, Blue Boat Home. Rise and embody your spirit. 1064.
If you feel comfortable holding the hand of the person next to you, please do. And if you just want to hold your heart center, please do. If you are who you were, and if the person next to you is who he or she or they were, if none of us has changed since the day we came here, we have failed. The purpose of this community, of any church, temple, mosque, is to help its people grow. We do this through encounters with the unknown, in ourselves and in one another. The other, whoever that might be for us, however hard that might be, because these encounters have many gifts to offer. So may you go forth from here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. Stay well, my friends. Join us outside to weave the gifts of this community into our annual maypole. Blessed be and amen.